All right, folks, let's do this for real. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Little Calumet River Basin Development Commission for Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. Please set your phones on stun and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Lambert, nice to see you. Call roll, please.
Tom Brzezinski.
Here.
Tom Bezdecki.
Here.
Anthony Brodniks, absent. Dave Castellanos.
Here.
Ron Ware.
Here.
Jenny Orsburn. Here. Robert Ochi.
Here.
Levon Whitaker.
Present.
William Baker.
Present. We have a quorum. Next up is the statements to the board from the floor. If you'd like to help us, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and let's have it. Going once, going twice. Moving right along. Next up on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 15th, 2026. I'm sure you all read them. Any modifications, additions, motions? What say you?
Chair, make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from April 15th, 2026.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Either none. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed
Abstention.
and abstention? One abstention. Jenny, well, chairman's report. Let's not start. I can welcome the new member. Jenny, pronounce your last name, please.
It's Orsburn.
Orsburn. It's nice to have you. Jenny is the representative of the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. So welcome, Jenny. Why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself?
Oh, a little bit about myself. Born and raised Northwest Indiana from Michigan City. Currently live in Chesterton. I've worked collectively, 15 years for the DNR and spent about 8 years working for the city of Portage. So my background is biology. I have a master's in business and from Purdue. So I've got a little bit of everything and happy to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Outside of the chairman's report, again, this is a $275 million man-made flood control project that if you don't do the maintenance, that's what's happening. So obviously in September 2008 is an impact on a lot of people and a lot of scenarios having to do with the region. We're far better prepared today than we were prior to September 2008. The watershed is working collectively as a group to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. This is huge, and from the standpoint of an economic development perspective, by doing this and having it certified through FEMA and the 17 other governmental agencies, no longer have to have mandatory flood insurance as a part of your mortgage. That enables you to be able to spend that money elsewhere in the community. However, if you do live next to the river, we highly suggest you look at flood insurance because we're dealing with Mother Nature. And if you get 10 gallons of water for your 5-gallon bucket, we're going to have some issues. We're just better prepared today than we were prior to September 2008. That was a bad time. If you haven't looked at those, look at them again, please. It's enough for me. Next up is the Executive Director report. That's Mr. Dan Repay. What say you, Mr. Repay?
Well, pretty busy out there. We'll start off with Kennedy Avenue Bridge. Originally supposed to start on May 11th and now has been moved because some delays with the Klein Avenue INDOT project. It is now officially going to begin on May 26th. So if you're traveling through the Kennedy Avenue and the river, you will see delays. It's going to go down to one lane in each direction. They are going to start on the west side of the bridge first. So I was incorrect when I said east side, of course, but it is west side, and that will be a 2-year project. So look forward to many great updates from that. Hard ditch stabilization. We've had some better weather here recently. Work has continued on stage 4. We're starting to get pricing on stage 5. Stage 4 is north of Franlin. Stage 5 continues north all the way up to the confluence of Katy Marsh and Schoon Ditch. Rock Riffle extension. which is out in Lake Station. You know that as the one where we took out the old dam or we modified the old dam. Well, now we're going to extend the trails and the open area space there, and we're going to attach it or complement what the county is doing at Three Rivers Park. The sandbar modification is going well, actually going a lot quicker than they had anticipated. So initially they thought it would be middle of June. They will likely be out in about 2 weeks. So it took 5 some years for the permit, but we are going to be in and out of there in a couple of weeks. The US 481 pump station modification will begin mid-June. That's by Grimmer. We're still waiting for the trash rack and a couple other parts, but once that happens, we're anticipating that to be complete sometime in September. And then let me cut through. I'll save the best for last. We have applications out to communities to apply for funding. Those applications are due to our office on May 22nd, which is this Friday. So likely chance of you seeing presentations from communities if they apply for funding at our June meeting. We have several projects going on with INDOT right now. We have that's on the agenda for the pump station at Kennedy to be turned over for operation and maintenance to us. We're working with them collectively on the ditch clearing along 94 and then possible future lift stations along the way to help better facilitate water through that area. Core inspections finished. They finished the first or the second week in May. They were delayed because of weather, but now they are now complete. And then the geotechnical work has still waiting for 408, but I've been told I will get that sometime in June. So I am anxiously waiting for that. And then as a part of our presentation, Brad from SEH will be giving us his thoughts, as long as DLZ's thoughts on the modification or the fix of the Lake George Dam. You remember we asked them to take a look at it, take a look at several options. They have come up with a preferred option. And so you will see that and see what the impact of improving that dam would be.
So I have a question with regards to the core inspections. There's financial problems at the core that you said that all the inspections are complete?
The Gary inspection. So everything west or east of Klein Avenue is complete. That includes all of Gary and INDOT.
So we had to go outside to a third-party vendor and be able to do those inspections. So what percentage did we have to do outside of the government for those inspections?
Last year, we did Hammond, Highland, and Munster for those inspections. Those are not scheduled yet. They're waiting on their financial position before we schedule it. So if they don't have the money, we'll do it again in-house. And if they do have the money, they'll do it. It's yet to be determined. Griffith, Katy Marsh Ditch will be done in June. That inspection, that's a part of the inspection that wasn't really part of our formal project, the Little Cal project, but it was the project that was a federal project, but didn't have any operation and maintenance attached to it. And we assumed that in 2012.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Repay about what's going on in the field?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Dan, I got a couple calls from individuals regarding Marshalltown for illegal dumping. And I know we have cameras over there. Just want to find out, have you got any notice from anybody about any trucks, any cars, any illegal dumping in that area?
All of our videos, when we see it, and Jodi and I both look at it, we turn that over to the Gary Police Department. Actually, the Gary Police Department has the access to our cameras in Gary. So they can access our cameras just as well as we can access the cameras. Just like Lake Station has access to our cameras in Lake Station. We've turned over 3 or 4 people that we noticed last year to the city of Gary. We don't know what the outcome was, but we had enough information to tell who it was, or at least the description.
Well, the question is that are the cameras set far enough back to catch anybody doing illegal dumping by their license plates?
The primary purpose is to watch to make sure no one takes any of our equipment off of our pump stations. But the one at Marshalltown specifically does show the intersection of Marshalltown and Wisconsin, which is where typically that happens. If it's outside of that intersection, to anybody that's listening online, you can dump outside that sight line.
I'll let them know. Thank you.
David, and one suggestion too is that if somebody brings that to you, tell them to call the police.
You know what? I have.
Any other questions for Mr. Repay?
Yeah, hey, Dan, with the regards to the 408 that we're waiting on, once we get that approval, what's the kind of time window of getting all that done?
It's 84 borings, so assuming nothing goes wrong with those borings, it's like 3 or 4 months. So if they show up an anomaly, of course, we're gonna have to do more borings. It's gonna slow the process. If they all show up as good and as expected, or as hoped, then it should be 3 to 4 months, and then they'll put out a report as to the quality of the material.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Just in going back to Marshalltown, I think Commissioner Castellanos and I were talking, I think the point that was trying to be made was, which I think Dan addressed it, and that is, by the time you call the police, it's probably too late. Obviously, it's too late. But whatever, view, if the view can be adjusted in the event that, it does capture a plate, or because there's so much fly dumping going on, especially, during construction season, that, police, unfortunately, it may not be a priority in the reality of things. And then, code enforcement, I will say code enforcement is very, very hot in Gary. Like I've never seen it before, which is really good. And so that's a very strong benefit. The unfortunate part is a lot of people are getting tagged who are just victims of the fly dumping. And that's the unfortunate part, but hats off to those guys. But I think whatever footage, like Dan is saying, that we can share would be very important.
So just to elaborate, we give them the information, they have access to our cameras, but how ours helps them is, even if I can't get the license plate, the way license plate reader system work is, so if you're familiar with Blue Net in Hammond and every other community has them now, is that if you give them a white Chevy and it's in Marshalltown, they can look on their readers and really focus in on better cameras, and they can say, all right, well, the white Chevy was at 2:00. We know it's coming out. And in Marshalltown, as you know, there's one to two ways in. You either come in off of Central, or you come in off of 25th.
Right.
So that's it. So they know where they're at. That's how they get them. And that's how most police get offenders, because they just have a general description and they know that's what time it came in at, and they can then use their cameras to further investigate it. Our cameras are not built, like we don't have the high tech, but I can tell you that we know that this is a 4-door, it's a 2-door. We found people at the natural spring doing stuff. It's amazing.
My last.
We'll be fine. I just,
I don't think you want to know.
no, we probably don't. It's some odd stuff.
Speaking of Chase Street, though,
Huh?
I know we brought up about 27 and Chase and the beavers being real busy, and that particular area south of Gary's 27 and Chase pump station. Have we done anything with that to make sure that we're not, or anything further, I guess, to make sure that we're not going to have some accumulation on the 94?
We were just out there actually yesterday with the collaborative. We went on a tour over there. They're constantly building their dams. Our unfortunate thing is our trapper is under the weather. And so we need to find a new trapper to unfortunately trap some of it, because they are very busy in that
I
area.
know somebody at the DNR. Hey, Jenny, you got anybody?
No.
There's a
So-
prohibit.
So it's a thing, and it's just what, we keep on clearing it, but they keep on putting it back. So along the 35th, right by the bus terminal at Gary Transportation, we have to constantly open that up.
That was all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Anybody else for Mr. Repay about what's going on in the field? Moving right along. Next up is a finance report. We need a motion for the approval of claims for May 2026.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve claims for May of 2026 in the amount of $1,842,534.51.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, discussion, Mr. Repay?
So several claims are sort of sticking out here. The one, of course, is for Dunnet Bay Construction, $1,034,100. That's for their initial startup costs.
For the Kennedy Avenue
For the
Bridge.
Kennedy Avenue Bridge. And so that's the largest by far. Austrian equipment, $230,495.81. That is the last draw on phase 3. Phase 3 was from Franlin to Main Street in Munster. They planted all their plantings, and I think they left some money on the table on that one. If you look at Project Tracker, I don't recall the exact amount, but there was money left. And so they've closed that part out. They're now moving to stage 4. We have $104,276.51. That goes to the collaborative, although it shows here on Lake County Parks that the largest part of that bill, if you look at all the backup, and Craig does almost too much backup on it. I think it's 125 pages when he sends it to us. So you don't want to see all of it, but we see it all. Most of it's going to the wetland initiative. And then there's various from Wiltshire cleaning the ditches along 94. We have our US Geological Survey, $30,792. That's our quarterly payment. And as we remember from our last presentation, Burke wanted some additional information on flow. We may add that to our gauges. Right now, we only have height. Flow costs more money, so we're gonna have to add that. And then we have Christopher Burke doing the East Reach levee survey, which they presented on last meeting. And then we have DLZ with some engineering work for 36,551.25 and 28,593 for Kennedy Avenue.
Any questions for Mr. Repay with regards to the claims?
One question.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
regards to the Dunnet construction. First of all, I'm very happy to hear that we're getting started on the Kennedy Bridge project. But I'd like to know if once they give you their reports on a monthly basis, I'd like to see what the minority participation is as far as what minority companies are participating in this and what are their contract amounts.
I think we'll be able to see that better in the June ask or draw. This one is simply for their startup and their mob demob, which is I don't know, we discussed, or I've had some emails discussing as how that pans out and how they bill on that. So no, right now we have no contractors besides Dunnet Bay doing the work and the supplies asked. So in June, I think that's an easier question to answer than right now, because I don't have anything right now.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the claims?
I just have one comment. I know that we get billed by for the gauges every quarter. Is there a way they could list what gauges, a list of the gauges instead of just a one-page bill?
We have the
They
contract.
do include the backup for it?
Yeah, we could, yeah. They do it one time, like we do it one time as a general, and then they just bill on the general agreement that we have.
I mean, just for the edification of the public so that they can recognize how many gauges we're talking about, where they're located,
And,
what
yeah.
their functionality is. Is it flow? Is it elevation?
We could do that,
I mean, we give them a lot of money and it seems like it's a pretty easy ask for
like
them.
120,000, so yes,
We do. Go through the ringer a little bit.
I don't mind.
Thank
We
you.
can do that, yep.
It'll take 2 years, though.
It will. But
And any other questions for Mr. Repay on the claims?
Hey, Dan, how many cycles of mowing did we do last year?
6. I think we did 6 because we did one in November, which I think was the 6th one. We've done one so far this year. It was 2 weeks ago. And then the goal is to do it in mid-June.
About once a month.
Yeah, and then the reason why we cut so late in the year, if we can get one, is because the inspections for the Corps in Gary start in April, and you could end up with anything. We ended up with a lot of rain, but in previous years, it's grown fast enough and we can't have it more than a foot high, otherwise it's a write-up.
Yeah.
So yes, we did 6 of them, I believe, last year.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Dan, and I don't know if this is normal, but being our largest construction project ever we've entered into with Dunnet Bay and Kennedy Avenue, is there plans for once a quarter or once every 6 months for the general contractor to be here? I know American Structure Point is here and they'll give a report on their billing cycles, but I don't know if you or Bill have had that conversation.
I think, Justin, the plan is, I mean, we meet every other Tuesday, and so far it's been sort of boring because it's only dealing with utility relocations. But as it picks up, I think we're gonna get reports, and you're gonna get reports every 2 weeks. They're just gonna filter through the minutes of the meeting. Will get filtered through so you can sort of gauge where we're at in the process. So, yeah, Justin here from American Structure Point and I are.
Is there anything specific you'd want to see?
No, just in case the board had questions for the actual general, in person, face to face, that's all.
Without
Being our
going through the
largest
buffer?
thing, this is kind of a new endeavor for us all.
I agree.
I don't think that'd be a problem. I don't think, I mean, the supervisors from St. John, actually, as weird as that is, I mean, like, especially since it's an Illinois company, he's from St. John, so he's very familiar with the area. So it's not a very long trek for him.
Anyone else? Mrs. Lambert, there's a motion and a second.
Yes.
Travis Becky,
Yes.
Dave Castellanos.
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Jenny Orsburn,
Yes.
Robert Ochi,
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes, paying the bills. Moving right along, presentation with regards to the preliminary engineering study for the Lake George Dam. Mr. Repay,
Yeah, so I see,
Full engineering companies.
well, we had 3 submittals and both paired up with partnering engineering because I think they have specialties in both. And I know Brad has personally done the hydraulic work near this dam. And you guys that have been on here for a while remember when the railroad track showed a 3 to 4 foot head differential from upstream downstream. So Brad is familiar with that. Brad and SEH along with DLZ, who they partnered with, have been working on this engineering report. And then hopefully after the report, we'll know what the next phase will be. As far as if you want to continue on and go with their preferred design or just leave it as it is. So with that, Brad, I'll let you do your presentation. You can share your screen.
Okay. My screen pulled up. Okay. I assume you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So I have just a short presentation overview on kind of our project and our results. So like Dan mentioned, we teamed with DLZ on the project. SEH kind of did the hydraulics, the dam rock riffle layout, and DLZ did some of the siting, some of the landscape architecture and fitting it into the surrounding community, or surrounding park, and the bridge portion. So just a really quick, I know you're all aware, Hobart Dam was, it's been modified over the years, but it's a high hazard dam originally built in the mid 1800s. Has a fairly large drainage area of 124 square miles, pretty big lake area, and impounds a fair amount of water. So, kind of the challenge or really what we found was the existing structure is a high hazard structure. It's aging. It requires, ongoing maintenance and, operational intervention to maintain its function. And it results in some, contributes to upstream flooding and or elevated water surfaces during larger events, primarily due to the spillway width and the higher overtopping spillway. It's a barrier to fish passage. It basically completely blocks aquatic organism movement upstream to the deep river. And the other one is just a structure presents some safety concerns and limits recreational use of the riverfront area. And just some project objectives, high level, really looking to improve the hydraulic performance of the dam, knowing we have to maintain the court-ordered lake level of 601 and just over 601.9, while looking to reduce upstream flood elevations during those larger events. We also look to restore fish passage and expand, recreational navigation through the Deep River Corridor. Can we come up with a solution that potentially allows, canoes or kayaks to traverse the dam? And another objective we're looking for is to provide an ADA compliant pedestrian bridge, with improved trail connectivity in the area. So looking to allow, to traverse the area a little bit easier than what's out there now. And then looking to really develop a durable and maintainable design with a, community supported riverfront concept that the city can maintain in the long term. And just some alternatives we evaluated. One, of course, is no action, do nothing. It does not really address the safety or upstream flooding, concerns. Continued high maintenance burden and little to no improvement on fish passage. And then, so we screened out the no action. We also screened out a traditional rehab, and and really what that would be is kind of continuing on like you've been with some projects as needed, but really, what we found in some of this is there's, the rigid structural elements are sensitive to settlement. So if an improvement looks to expand outside the existing dam footprint, the ground surrounding the dam will limit some of that, or will really make it much more costly. So it'd be extensive ground improvement would be required, and it would really be it'd be a higher risk due to the soft underlying compressible soils. So where we arrived at the preferred alternative was, we call it a naturalized rock riffle, and I'll kind of get into a little bit more what that means in the following slides. But really what it is, it's a rock fill ramp that, will be allowed to tolerate some more localized settlement. It will improve both conveyance upstream, lower the upstream flood elevations, allow for fish passage, and also look to support recreation and long-term durability. So essentially we'd be looking to replace the existing dam structure with a large rock ramp. So again, we call it a naturalized rock riffle system with integrated pedestrian bridge. So it's basically would be a long, and you can kind of see in the background there, a long rock rapids section that's basically built out of rock and various levels of rock and filter stone with large boulders on the top. And and due to some of the sheet pile would be utilized to help establish grade control due to some of the soft soils in the area, and it would help with long-term stability. And we'd really be looking to also include a ADA compliant pedestrian bridge with integrated viewing opportunities. And as part of this project, really what comes in versus the traditional dam too that I didn't mention earlier is looking for some bank stabilization downstream of the dam. Some of those banks right now are heavily eroded and on the verge of some stability issues. So we'd also look for bank stabilization, some restoration plantings, and really some allowing more use of the riverfront space downstream of the dam, while doing this all while, again, maintaining that court established lake level elevation without the use of gates or any other person induced activities or required activities, I should say. And then just some highlights on the hydraulic performance. With the dam modifications, just with the dam alone, we'd be, we could get about just over half a foot decrease in the 100-year water surface elevation upstream of the dam. So basically the Lake George would fluctuate less during the 100-year, and even lower than that during more frequent events. And then the other thing we looked at with the project is what happens if we modify the dam and also look to widen or reduce the restriction at the existing Ridge Road downstream. And if those two were combined, we could get up to about a foot decrease through Lake George as part of the project. And we did this both with some one-dimensional and two-dimensional HEC-RAS modeling. We looked at flow velocities, which would be low enough to provide fish passage through the dam itself. And the high velocity areas with this concept would be concentrated in the center of the channel. So it would help to stabilize those existing eroded banks downstream. Okay. And then this one, there's a lot on this slide, but really what I want to, again, point out is there's very soft and compressible soils in the area, and there will be going forward. So there's a lot of what we call marl soils near the dam toe with very low bearing capacity. So with this, we're expecting a fair amount of settlement, with a rock rapid system, but that's kind of the key of this, is that it's constructed such that we can allow that settlement and not impact the function of the project itself. So why the rock riffle works, it does not assume a zero sediment foundation. It's designed to tolerate differential settlement. We look to distribute the rock mass across those soft soils. We use sheet pile to help contain grade control and kind of the deformation of that rock, and really look to stage it such that limiting the loads and while maintaining hydraulic control at all times. But really and why I have kind of the yield sign or the warning sign is what we found as part of this is we're able to use some of the soils information from the construction of the existing dam, but there really needs to be more soils investigations before we can really nail down kind of the ultimate feasibility and cost of a project like this moving forward. And then, of course, as you're probably aware of, there's a fair amount of environmental permitting that would go along with this, with permits required from the core Chicago district, state of Indiana, both the IDEM and the divisions of water. So agency coordination will be key on whatever project, as a project moves forward early and often to make sure we get ahead of any potential path or roadblocks there. And again, we'd be looking this would be more of an aquatic habitat restoration and bank stabilization project. And then just some high level, how would we build this? So we'd look to basically establish confinement. We just, sheet pile cut off upstream, down the middle of the stream potentially, and build it one half at a time. And probably starting on the south side where the existing dam spillway isn't, where the emergency spillway is, fill that a little bit at a time to account for the settlement. Once that side, you flip to the other side, fill the north side, then kind of open it all at once and put in the larger rock boulders to kind of set the path of how we want the water to flow down the channel. And that's kind of what I talk about in the final placement there. And then here's kind of what we outlined as the path forward on a project such as this. And you'll note I have agency coordination permitting, and for that, depending on other things, I think the first step is definitely we need some more geotechnical information to figure out how bad are these soft marl soils, and how do we stage construction, stage the design to deal with those. So that's our recommended first path. Again, looking to the second one to confirm our performance criteria, and that's primarily to, how can we design this to acceptable deformation limits while still achieving the hydraulic performance we want. Then, of course, final plans and specs design that, and 3 and 4 will be key. 4 will be early on because there's a fair amount of permitting and maybe even some FEMA letters of map revision necessary prior to construction. And then, of course, moving forward, it'd be once the permits are secured, bidding, construction, and completion. And a lot of this will be largely in water construction. So that is a high level overview of how we foresee the project. And I can just show you another excerpt from kind of showing a high level overview of, that's kind of how we envision it looking. Is, the existing dam now, I don't know if you can see my arrow, but is essentially here. We would be looking to build a lot of at least the upstream portion of the dam nearest to the existing dam, because that area has already been basically compacted because the dam's been there so long. So that is the concept we're looking at. We call the preferred alternative as part of this.
Is that it, sir?
Yes, that is it.
Because I didn't see you bow or anything, so I just wanted to make sure. Mr. Repay,
I could do that.
Close this up and help us what we're doing. Just some context while Dan stands up is that Deep River is one of two primary tributaries into the Little Cal. All the water going into Hobart Lake George comes all the way from south of Crown Point, Cherville, Maryville, all the places that they're building new stuff. All that water goes into that particular lake. The second one being Hart Ditch that runs along the west side of the watershed. Go ahead, Mr. Repay. It sounds like a big project.
Well, it is, and it's there's been a lot of emphasis on Deep River. We first did that with the railroad. Hobart has taken the initiative on 3rd Street in Wisconsin, rebuilding those. If you remember way back when we did this initial model, Brad, I think you did it, where we saw the impediments to water flow. And so the natural progression is to do, well, the dam, and then after the dam, in my opinion, is also, and I don't think Brad even talked about it, was the railroad tracks that are even south of that. So there's another set of railroad tracks that runs just to the south of the city hall. That is, the opening, I don't know the exact opening, but it's not very large. And so you want to prepare everything downstream. So when you do open that railroad bridge, that's could be the cause of why we see problems on Turkey Creek and why we see stuff on Niles Ditch, all trying to compete for that same space. And this part has always been an issue for us, but also the city of Hobart, where they see it as a safety concern. They see it as a better opportunity for the ecological aspects of it and safety. If you've ever gone out there to see, and I was out there today, the trees that get stuck in that dam, it's a constant maintenance nightmare. So I think the next step, as Brad pointed out, is that we do, at least before we get into design, is at least see what the geotechnical work shows us, and then we can go from there. Would that be correct, Brad, in your opinion?
Yes.
Is there any other funding sources other than Hobart and the Little Cal that are a possibility for something of this magnitude? We have to get 73 different permits. Is any of those governmental entities willing to kick in some money?
Dan, maybe you could, the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative is something that has came across my mind, that, they look for aquatic organism passage and restoration type projects. So that might be a potential.
You may have a board member that has more knowledge about that information than me.
Is Hobart doing the point on this, or is the Little Cal doing the point on this?
Who's taking the point?
Yes.
We are. Currently, we are. We were the ones that selected Brad.
Yeah.
So we're the point right now. We don't know. We haven't gotten to the point of whether we're gonna do construction. I think, as I said, the next step is the geotechnical work that needs to be done. After that, if that shows out, then you go into whether you want to design something. You talk about funding. Our new commission member, Jenny, might have some information on that, and some opportunities. I'm not going to speak for her, but.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not asking her right now. I'm just curious as if we're exploring that as a possibility as a part of all this work. You're off the hook.
So, and thanks for the presentation. And through your analysis, I guess, and you're saying that the geotechnical information will be forthcoming, or that's the next steps. Did your team look at potential rough order magnitudes, conceptual costs for the design that you prepared? Based upon
Yes, we we do have some high level, and there was, of course, at this level, we threw a lot of contingencies on there. So that was why we really didn't present them in the report, because it's highly contingent on what we find in the soils. But yes, we do have and I would say it's a conceptual level estimate.
That's what I'm asking for, a rough order of magnitude or conceptual cost.
And we broke it out by the riffle itself, the ped bridge. And so if I were to, without contingencies and without engineering and things like that, it's probably $8 to $10 million for the riffle. And then the ped bridge, maybe depending on how fancy, but a $4 million ped bridge. So those are kind of the rough order of magnitude, I would say.
And then early in your presentation, you presented four variables. You said to mitigate some risk for existing structures. Is there any evidence of that right now based upon the soil types that are out there now that you've seen?
Oh, the risk with expanding the dam, so really what that comes down to, the dam's been there since 1850, so any settlement would have already been accounted for. But once we get outside that footprint, so if you were to say modify and put in a dam with a bigger spillway or something like that, is really what we're getting at. When you do a rigid structure, the settlement or the soft soils really are going to come into play in that, settlement, a concrete structure doesn't take the settlement like, say, a rock ramp would, where it would, differential settlement isn't going to impact the performance. But that's what we're getting at with kind of the risk of rebuilding or building another dam structure.
Thanks for the clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah.
On
one of those slides, it said something about Ridge Road. Are you contemplating rebuilding that bridge as part of this package, or that separate, or?
That was something we didn't include that cost, and it was something we looked at because Ridge Road is another constriction downstream of the dam. So we wanted to see hydraulically, that impacts the potential impacts or the improvement in the water surface drop due to the dam. So we thought, what happens if the dam is improved and at some point in the future, Ridge Road is improved, just to get an order of magnitude of, how that impacts this dam modification. So it's really, when I say we didn't assume that would be done as part of this project, other than, evaluating the hydraulics associated with it.
Hey, Brad, do you happen to have the numbers we talk about the railroad that is south of 3rd Street? What that impact would be upstream of that?
Yes, if that one was totally removed or, wide enough where it didn't impact, that's about a foot lowering, 1 to 1.4 feet lower, and downstream, I have those numbers. Let me grab that. But yeah, so you get a much bigger bang for your buck, by removing the dam or the railroad upstream. So we could really see some significant improvements. And then Ridge Road was only Ridge Road plus the dam. Ridge Road is like another 4/10 we could gain so we'd get close to a foot of decrease if we were to do the dam and Ridge Road, where if it's just the dam, it's about 0.6 of a foot and I'm talking the 100-year lowering.
What do you say about the railroad?
Railroad's about a foot if we were to widen it.
Upstream. But the problem is, if you don't have it downstream, you flood Hobart's downtown.
Right.
Which is what happens currently.
The current bridge that's over the Ridge Road Bridge, is there obstructions that?
The old Ridge Road is just narrow. If you expand it, I don't know how much I think in one of your slides, you show that if there is no Ridge Road there, like if you just took out the bridge entirely, which in essence, you would just build it wider. Mm-hmm. There's a calculation. I don't know I don't have it.
Let me just, it is, yeah, that's where I say it's another 4/10 lower. So basically Ridge Road causes another 4/10 of water surface increase because it does restrict.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Could you please look at page 14 and I'm looking at the statements in the report here. If we replace the dam without modifying Ridge Road, we reduce the 100-year elevation by 0.6. Going to the extra cost of removing Ridge Road with the dam being replaced only gains you 0.2.
Above that,
Pardon me?
so it'd be, and I'm looking at the numbers, it's anywhere from 0.8 to 1 foot total.
Yeah, but you're already at 0.6, but just by replacing the dam and you're only
Yes.
gaining 0.2 or
And an additional, correct.
0.2.
That's just for the old Ridge Road.
just for Ridge Road.
Yeah, so that's why we didn't,
So to me, that seems like pretty costly add without much impact.
that's not a
Well,
part of that, that's not a
I
part of this,
understand.
yeah.
And that's to say, if Ridge Road were to come in the future and be updated, that was what we wanted to mainly look at is, if it were sized or made bigger, how much could it help essentially? So like Dan mentioned, you get more bang for your buck by the railroad versus Ridge Road.
That's almost a foot.
By itself.
More.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So dam modifications are great opportunities to meet multiple objectives and habitat improvements being one of them. At what point in your phase of this design would you consider, consultation on kind of the biotic community, the aquatic habitats, and looking at fish species and introduction of possible invasives and all of that? So.
Yeah, and we do have as part of our team, the SCHI, we did have a aquatic biologist as part of the team. And one of the things, and again, this was more, what is the solution? And then can we, come up with a solution that potentially, velocities would allow fish passage if we wanted? Yes, but like you had kind of alluded to, that can also go the other way. If you don't want a species to pass, they're going to be allowed to pass. So yes, that would have to be early on because you don't want to, if that is a red flag, yes, we'd rather do that than move down the path of we built the ramp and now we just introduced something you didn't want to upstream. So yes, that should be early on. And we didn't get into that. It was more, configurations and hydraulics, but we have an aquatic or fisheries biologist actually on our team that was consulted and involved, but yeah.
Right.
So Dan, for clarification, and Brad as well, the water leaves Lake George, it goes
Straight
to
down.
Burns waterway.
Yeah. Orange water.
Okay, it doesn't go east from there. It doesn't go west from there. Okay,
It doesn't go west from there.
it doesn't go
But
west.
what it does is, and there's gonna be some difference of opinion on this, but the faster, and it'll get me in trouble, the faster you get the water out of deep river, the less pressure you put on the little Cal, because as we've seen in other hydraulic reports is
From
that,
the west, you're
yeah,
saying.
the water has to stay until deep river clears. At least gets down to, I will tell you, it's 11 on the Lake Station meter. So at our Lake Station gauge, once it hits 11, then we start to see water start to slowly make its way out of Little Cal.
Okay, and that gauge is at 51 or is it further west?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That gauge is at 51?
No, this one's at Liverpool. The one that we watch is Liverpool. So anything above 11, if that it's just internal, we should probably put a warning out. But at 11, we know that anything above 11 keeps water in Little Cal, roughly. Anything lower than 11, water starts to recede and you start seeing the gauges at Grant, Burr, Broadway all come down because of it. Because at a point, the water starts heading to the west because the deep tunnel project starts taking the water and starts moving it that way. And we see that all the way up to Burr Street when they start taking water that way.
So the proposed 6 inch to a foot would reduce pressure.
Well, I think it would, I mean, it's only 6 to a foot, but I think the next step that this board needs to consider is going after the geotechnical. After the geotechnical, I think Brad could put some better numbers and some ideas and plans together to say, well, his engineering report says now 20 million. And so do you want to pay $20 million for 6 inches or not? That becomes the issue. So I think the next step for us is whether we do the geotechnical, which I'm imagining we will, and then we'll have better information. Brad will have better information, and then we take it from there.
My primary concern is, which it sounds like we're covering, is that we are not introducing a head pressure issue west, which is not the case.
No, it's already hanging out there because there's too much pressure on Deep River for it to do. That's why it fills in off of I-65 and fills in that whole farm field. By Hatcher Park, Marshalltown, it stays there, and that's how NDOT knows when it's high. That's how they work it. Unofficial readings.
Saw that the last person. Any other questions for this young man?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
On your slide section BB, the side elevation from the first rock riffle to the last is about a 9-foot drop overall. And how long of a distance is it from the first to the last rock riffle? 200 foot, 250 foot?
Yeah, and that will be kind of, it's either typically you shoot for a 20-to-1. So anywhere from, again, it would be refined, but 200 to 500 feet. We'd look to tie in, and we modified our initial concepts a couple times. Primarily we had the larger riffle starting further upstream initially, but the geotech concerns had us move it downstream where the top riffle is now nearest to the existing dam and cutting from there. But really it would be, we look to get no steeper than 20-to-1 and tie in before Ridge Road is really kind of what we're looking for. And roughly 2-foot drops at a time is kind of what we'd be looking for, with kind of pools in between. And does that help or make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I think it was a great presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Well appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Next up is other issues, new business. Optimus Lake Improvement Project.
We didn't really know what to call it. So that's what we ended up with here in our office. Just to give brief history, the city of Hammond and the SSCBA had come to us the last summer of last year with a project that had the trail go around the entire Optimus Lake. This board liked it enough, but said we'd like to have some modifications and not have it go all the way around because of maintenance and some other safety issues. Not to mention some of the pipelines. And so we contracted with HWC to finish a design. Those plans were sent around. Two of the concerns that I remember specifically were, one of them was a heavy electrical component to the project. And so we put that out as an alternate because that really didn't have much to do with our boardwalk and more so towards the improvement of the CBA's property. So that's why there was that alternate. The second component, and I think the chairman brought it to my attention, was there needed to be a better connectivity to our levee to the boardwalk, and we added that. So with those, I mean, I'm sure there was a couple of other minor adjustments, but with all those adjustments, we then put it out to bid based off of that information. And it's now at a 60-day level, and legally we need to either award it or not award it. And that's why it's here on the agenda. So we have applied. I will tell you, collectively, we've applied with the SSCBA for two grants, one from Legacy and one to the Dean and Barbara White Foundation. And the reason why we did Dean and Barbara White Foundation is historically, they bought, that's their development in Hammond, and it was, but for them owning it and Mr. Wellman being on the board, they donated that property for the visitor center. And actually, and I think Bill was out there on the tour when Bill Talon told us that this is actually a welcome center, not just their offices. This is actually a rest stop for many people. And they tend to get 250 to 450 people a day going there. And that's their sole responsibility, is for them to take care of that. So unfortunately, the grants aren't going to be awarded by today. Otherwise, I would have loved to tell you that we were successful with any of them. But I feel we have some a good chance for both of them. But like I said, we only have a day to decide that. And so it's on the agenda to make a decision.
Okay, I'll start. So the project in and of itself is very cool because it ties the Little Cal, the recreational component with regards to the boat ramp at Kennedy Avenue. We're doing the modifications to the bridge. We're doing some modifications to the pump station to help with that interchange. I think there was some miscommunication or some modifications might need to be done as the way the layout works, and having so much construction in the water elevates the price, obviously. Anytime you do work in the water from a construction perspective, the price goes up. The thought is that the project's still good, but maybe we need to do more value engineering, my opinion. Anybody else?
I would agree with the chair. It's a lot of money for an amenity and it's a fancy amenity where I feel a little bit of maybe not such a fancy design. Maybe you pull some of the construction activity out of the water, still have the pretty view and you still have everything you need, but why we need to go through that type of expense, I'm hard pressed to support it.
I would have to agree with that too. Maybe it's another version of reprogramming the recreational aspects of this thing.
Okay. So we do have a bid on this particular design and layout that is expiring. So, staff is looking for a decision from the board on this particular line item, for lack of a better description. Any other comments, motions? What say you?
Chair, I'd make a motion to table 10.A Optimus Lake Improvement Project. Can we table that?
Can we defer it?
You're at the conclusion of your time frame
Okay.
on the bid, so action has to be taken. This is either a proceeding forward or it's a.
I would say then I would revise my motion to deny Optimus Lake Improvement Project.
There's a motion to deny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Just, I think it's a great recreational project. To Dan's point, though, with regards to additional funding, it is my hope that, additional support that is more concrete can be made available, not limited to the two resources that he mentioned, whatever municipal or governmental support beyond municipal that could help make this project go forward. I just don't think that the time for us, for Little Cal, is the best use of resources.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, is there a possibility of revising or modifying the motion that was just made, or Nicole?
There was already a second.
Yes.
So if you desire to modify it, it would have to be to make that motion for the amendment. And then first vote on what the amendment to determine if that in fact passes, where then the motion can proceed as amended. If that actually was successful.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to allow bids.
We have a motion and a second. He's making another motion?
I'm trying to amend
If
it.
he's making a motion to amend, then he can proceed in that, and then there would be a vote on the motion to amend. And if that motion passes, then it goes back to a vote on the original motion as amended. Gets a little complicated, but
It's Robert's Rules 101. Well, you vote in order of the amendments backward.
Right.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mr. Ochi, what do you want to
So I'd
do?
like to make a motion to allow the bids for Optimus Lake Improvement Project to expire with a modification to review the programming aspects of it, to amend the original motion. Maybe I didn't phrase it correctly, but that's kind of what I want to do.
Can I ask a question?
I don't know, ask Bennett.
No, can I ask Rob? Are you asking that they can go back to the drawing board and possibly?
I think that's what
relook at this?
we've mentioned value engineering, we mentioned, because it's a viable project, and I think it's worthwhile to complement the bridge project that we're doing there. I think we just need to look at some aspects of the design as previously mentioned, and maybe look at the programming aspect of the design intent of what that boardwalk wants to be.
Can't we do that as a separate project?
This is denied.
Absolutely can. At this point, it's just the fact that your bids are expiring, you have to take action on that, but whether or not
That's
you know,
what I'm,
you continue to consider this, you continue to reevaluate, the issue just becomes that you would have to bid again.
that's why I want to amend the original one and let the bids expire and you could revisit it. That's kind of what I'm saying.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Let's start. So Robert, so what, you're letting the bid expire for a project that we want to modify. You're basically saying you like the idea of the project, you just want it to be done, but you want to call it an expiration of the bids as opposed to calling it, project 1A instead of 1.
Yes.
Okay. You make it more complicated or what?
No, to simplify the matter. Obviously, we have some framework that we like about the project. We just have to modify the program to fit,
So in
to
essence,
better fit the objectives of that boardwalk.
we're not denying the project. We are.
But we're letting the bids expire
Right.
because that's what we're up against right now.
Right.
It's modifying, so amending.
I mean, does that meet the challenge that we have with the timeline and why it's on the agenda now anyway? Because the contractual bids are expiring?
It's, from my understanding, 60 days is up tomorrow or today.
Okay, public sector is great. Let's.
On the question, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on the amendment question, I guess, and this is an overall comment. I guess I will state that I disagree with the amendment. If we either vote up or down on the bids themselves, expiring or accepting. My comment also is to add on to that is that we have had this design in front of us as a board for months now. And we have had ample opportunity to give input to the engineering firm before we went out for bid with the contractors. These contractors have done due diligence to do this bidding for the project. I don't recall, I recall hesitation at the dollar amount that was proposed in the engineer's reports, but I don't recall any hesitation on wanting to see large scale changes like I'm hearing here expressed. I'm in favor of the project also, brings value to the community, the recreational aspect, but to the amendment proposal, I don't agree with. At this, it should be voted up or down without the amendment.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on the amendment motion?
My only question from a legal standpoint, attorney, would be what possible gray area or ambiguity are we suggesting with the contractors or with the contractor? Are we wouldn't be obligated, they wouldn't be under the impression that we're proceeding forward or from a certain time?
Not you.
Expire, doesn't matter.
Okay, so it still expires.
Bids expire as a
Today.
matter of law. It's just having it or as a matter of the bidding process based on the law. It's a matter of closing it out in that sense so that it's not left open to the contractors as just a, looming action. They know it expires at the end of 60 days, but it's basically where they have the clean action. The fact of the amendment, is there a legal right or wrong to it? No, it's really how you wish to proceed. From a legal standpoint, with or without the amendment, as I've already said, you can consider this project, next month, next year, or whenever. Any future action would require another bid, even if there was, if the project didn't change a bit, it would still have to be rebid so that, for that exact purpose, so that this is fair to all of the contractors. Obviously, the numbers that are out there are going to change anyway, just because of the economics. But if you tailored the project in any fashion, you'd bid it accordingly at that time.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this amendment? So we're gonna have a vote first on the amendment. Is that true, Ms. Bennett?
Correct. So you're-
And the amendment is to, please help me again, because
We're gonna let the, as it states, the bids expire and to
you don't have to
The
vote on
amendment?
that.
But the amendment was then to consider the project, to keep the project open for reconsideration.
It clear as mud?
So
Can-
let the
can-
bids
can somebody
expire,
please-
let the bids expire, but leave it open for future consideration,
Well, that's okay.
correct?
Is that correct?
I mean, that's a different way of noting it. Yeah, the intent is to keep the project viable.
Mrs. Lambert, what do you got?
Allow the bids to expire, but to keep the project open for future consideration.
All right, that's the amendment you're voting on. Any other discussion on it? So a yes vote would be to do that, and a no vote would be not to do that.
A yes vote is to amend.
A yes vote would be to
It's
amend.
only on
previous-
the approval of the amendment to the motion.
Yes is
Yep.
approval of the amendment.
Correct. If it passes, then you will vote again on that actual decision. Or proposal at that point. If it fails, then you are back to the original motion.
I have a question still on the amendment. So doesn't this amendment bind us that we have to proceed with alternatives down the road?
No, the motion is just to consider, to keep it open for consideration. That's right.
Aren't we doing that if we deny it originally? Aren't we have that capability as a board no matter what? We don't need that in writing is my point. We have that capability.
Legally correct.
Any other discussion? There's a motion and a second on this amendment. A roll call vote, Mrs. Lambert.
Tom Brzezinski,
Yes.
Pat Gosdicki,
No.
Dave Castellanos,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
No.
Jenny Orsburn,
No.
Robert Ochi,
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
No.
William Baker.
No. All right, so we're now back to the original motion about the denial of the Optimus Lake Improvement Project as presented. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And I'll reiterate my earlier comments. We went through the due diligence of an engineering design. You, to your credit, had voiced input on the design as it was originally presented, and there were modifications made at that time. We as a board had total opportunities to make our comments known and our concerns known. I don't recall any additional input by any of us, myself included. The price tag is significant. I think we keep going down this path of wanting to change engineering designs at the last minute. And I think that we are going to end up with contractors that will not want to bid work that's put out by this board if we continue to do this. If we thought it had merit, we should vote it up or down. I think the project has merit. Is the price tag significant? Yes, it is. Do I think that maybe we did it with the base bid and not the event plaza? I think so. But the motion is as it is to reject all the bids, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there, does the budget allow for this project as bid?
Budget.
Yeah.
Money. Should be yes.
Any other discussion? All right, we got a motion and a second. Mrs. Lambert.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't think that the question was answered.
I don't think so.
And there is a new board member here, and I'm saying this in respect to the new board member who had a valid question. Is the money there budgeted, or do we have the money? I think
Dan said yes.
We do have the.
I'm sorry, none of us over here heard that. I apologize.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, he made it.
It's not
a little bit more
budgeted.
That there's not a
She
budget.
didn't say budget.
Budgeted.
Is it is the funding in the budget for this project as bid?
We have, that's a deeper
I
question,
guess-
but we have money available that is not allocated, that could be allocated to this project. That'd be the best answer I can
Funding was
give.
never encumbered for this.
No, we wouldn't encumber it until we're told to encumber it. I don't encumber it.
Till contract's approved.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand.
But budgeted is different.
Correct.
Yes.
I think we're saying the same.
I'm sorry, I should
You know,
have.
Mr. Ware, I have a question, or Commissioner Ware, as long as we're talking about the actions that the board has taken. I'm curious to know what other project you're referencing where we hold back. I mean, we did the bridge, we held back, went back and revisited it, came up with an alternative design and awarded it to Dunnet Bay. I don't fail to understand why we wouldn't be able to do the same thing with this particular project. And I want to know who else we have denied
Valid question.
opportunity.
I think that we had ample opportunity on these engineering designs and before it was put out to bid, knowing the design of this project. And maybe I misspoke that we had done it in the past, but there's been a lot of pushback, and rightfully so on certain things. And maybe I misspoke that in the time frame that they were within the engineering before the bidding. To your question, you're probably right. But we had ample opportunity on this one also.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Could
sir.
you please state the amendment that we're going to be voting on?
There's amendments.
It's not an
Jot
amendment,
down.
it's the motion to deny.
Motion to allow the bids to expire or deny?
No, we already did the amendment.
Deny
We already
the
did.
project.
All right, I just clarifying is, we had a lot of discussion.
Will we vote? Deny.
It was a motion.
Denied.
Yes.
Deny
Deny
the project. Improvement project.
Mrs. Lambert, let's read it again.
Tom Krasinski,
No, I'm sorry. Please read again the motion that has been put forth.
it's a motion to deny the Optimus Lake Improvements Project.
So there's a motion, and it's second. Is there any other discussion? Mrs. Lambert, roll call, please.
Tom Krasinski,
Yes.
Tom Gozdecki,
Yes.
Dave Castellanos,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Jenny Orsburn,
Yes.
Robert Ochi,
Yes.
She said yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. All right, the motion tonight passes. Next up is the memorandum of understanding with NDOT concerning the transfer, operation, and maintenance of the Hammond Lift Station. I'm assuming this is at Kennedy Avenue, Mr. Repay?
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Indiana Department of Transportation concerning the transfer of operation and maintenance of the Hammond Lift Station located at the northeast corner of Kennedy Avenue and 178th Place.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. All right, any discussion? We've been trying to get the control and maintenance of this pump station because of its significant impact on economic development and transportation and logistics. After how many years now, Mr. Repay?
Been more than 10. More than 10, sorry.
Any concerns from your standpoint, Mr. Repay, as far as the operation and maintenance, considering how many lift stations do we already do operation and maintenance on for the system?
8, and then the 9 will be US 41, and then this will be 10. But
Okay,
no, I mean, the only question is gonna be is what we're gonna see when we get there. And when we do it, it won't be the first time we've done it when we took over Gary's pump stations.
there was no pumps.
There's a lot of things possibly missing.
Okay. There's a motion already and a second, so any other discussion? Neither none, Mrs. Lambert?
Tom Brzezinski,
Yes.
Tom Gazdecky,
Yes.
Dave Castellano,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Jenny Orseburn,
Yes.
Robert Ochi,
Yes.
Stefan Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. All right. Another pump station, good. Next up is a resolution 2026-08 in an interlocal agreement with the South Shore Convention and Visitors Authority concerning the temporary access and use of the SSCBA parking lot. This is, I'm assuming, for the Kennedy Avenue rehabilitation. What are we calling it?
No, mainly for the sandbar in the US 41 pump station, we have to replace a gate. So it's, right now, they're allowing us to use it. Talking to Nicole, legally probably be a good idea to have that memorialized as opposed to a handshake. So what we're doing is they're allowing us to use it. If we damage the parking lot, we'll fix it. I mean, you're gonna have about 20 trucks a day coming out of there for the sandbar.
So the amount of heavy equipment that's already out there, less even the logistics of the trucking, is going to be significant, through this asphalt work.
And we took pictures before, so.
So we're in discussion, Mr. Chair.
Well,
yes.
there's a resolution, so there's no motion or anything, so I suppose you can talk if you'd like, Mr. Whitaker.
So there's a designated area for us that we've identified.
It's the back parking lot and then we have to exit it because there's only one exit out of that. So it's exiting off onto Corinne Drive. I could show it if you want me to share it.
Ooh, an aerial?
I thought we were pretty good without sarcasm today.
Thanks,
Maybe we get one.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right. What say?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2026-08 and interlocal agreement with the SCVA concerning temporary access and use of the SSCVA parking lot.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Neither or none. Mrs. Lambert?
Tom Brzezinski,
Yes.
Tom Gazdecky,
Yes.
Dave Castellanos,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Jenny Orseburn,
Yes.
Robert Ochi,
Yes.
Stefan Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. Moving right along. Next up is resolution 2026-09 is granting authority to the executive director to execute documents pertaining to real estate owned and maintained by the commission. Interesting. Some color for this, please, Mr. Repay.
So
Why do you want to sign stuff?
on occasion, we get approached, and the most recent occasion is from NDOT with respect to their flex gate project where they need access to the ditch line from our property. And so in order to do that, I have to sign off, or someone's got to sign off on an easement. So we get the easement, we review it through legal, and we give them the access to their project. And so this is just, what else? What was the other project that someone asked me, what did we buy? So we buy the property in Lake Station, same thing, but instead of getting it for each individual entity, this would be the blanket to allow me to do that. So long as everyone agrees, and I don't think I'd buy property or give easements that you guys weren't aware of.
So help me understand on why this resolution, is this through you, Ms. Bennett? Is just to have something documented and voted on the board, but the executive director should already have that right, I would assume.
I'm surprised you didn't have this.
So this
Because
is,
something that for cities, towns, municipalities, organizations, committees, boards, you name it. The official action has to come from the board, and that the person does not in and of themselves have that authority, whether it's a president, commissioner, executive director, whatever, to just go and act and sign on behalf because they're municipal, or I'm sorry, because, government entities, action has to come from a body. So this gives the authority to execute once that action takes place.
So if the Corps asks us, as they have in the past, to come and buy more property for whatever reason, would this include that? Because it doesn't say anything about purchasing. It only says about operation and maintenance.
That's because this one specifically, the
Yeah.
NDOT, is because they wanted something.
NIPSCO is a very similar case scenario where they don't have access, but they need access to get to their pipeline, and they don't have it access across our levee.
So this is documentation for an easement, but not necessarily for a purchase agreement.
Correct. That's separate resolution that allows title companies, will always insist on having the document. They typically record it with the deed or whatever is the item that they're doing. It's their, right, CYA, it's their collateral that the person that's signing in front of them, much like you would provide a managing member authorization, a, partner, whatever that would come from an LLC or a corporation.
So we looked in the past of also having the checks and balances being not only the executive director, but the approval of the attorney and also a signature from the chairman. So is
That
that,
has nothing to do with this though, unfortunately.
that has nothing to do with this?
So this is the legal requirement that the board took action and that there is officially that permission has been granted to that person who signed in the capacity as the executive director. Otherwise, what you're talking about is the action that you take here in the meeting, right? That's said here, but when Dan or anybody else goes out to execute a document, that record isn't coming with them, or that, videotape from the meeting isn't coming. So the title company or NIPSCO or NDOT, whoever is in front of him at the time of signing, doesn't see that authorization.
But if we acquire something through tax sale, what about that?
This is only for owned, and this is not for purchase of new property.
Well,
This
my
one would have to
question
do
is,
with
why
the-
not?
Well, this is the NDOT one, correct?
But if we're gonna pass a resolution, why don't we pass a resolution for the things that need to be taken care of?
This one specifically is what NDOT had wanted.
In the,
Um,
okay, so it's just specifically to something that you're dealing now with NDOT having to do with along the foreman
But yes, along 94, what was the question?
for new easements.
this is both of them.
This is general.
The motion doesn't say that.
We all thought we had it. I don't have it. This is what would carry that, fill that gap.
Okay, back to the board. What do y'all want to do?
I have a question before a motion's made. Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
would it be better and help to appease the board if there was language added specific to this item that you and Dan have talked about related to the ongoing work on 8094 or thereabouts? It seems very vague, what we are thinking about. It seems vague.
And the only thing is, we get approached more than I even thought about utilities. Utilities in NDOT that were ask us for that, and that's, yeah.
Not against it at all.
No, I'm just following what legal says.
Understood.
I didn't graduate with that. By the way, holy Christian.
It's public sector. I'll find
Is this
some-
like is this a boilerplate language document? Is this?
So the question is this boilerplate language, whatever boilerplate is,
I would just feel comfortable.
is that a legal term?
That it would.
This relates, as it relates to this, but
Want to be.
this is the one that I thought it was, because there's a couple different ones. This one is, I believe there's a question about purchases. It's right in here. Execute closing statements, deeds, any other documents, papers relating to closings on the purchase or sale of real estate. So this encompasses, as I indicated, what is needed when you're signing documents, whether it's for sale, title company, purchase agreements, closing statements, sales disclosures, anything of that nature that gives that authority. I'm surprised nobody's seen this on any other municipal board that you sat on, and granting to an executive director, a commissioner, chairman, something like that. Title companies insist on this. It's likely it covers them that they didn't just have any Tom, Dick, or Harry come in and sign, because when Dan walks in there, he doesn't have a bylaws to provide or articles of incorporation that says that he has some interest or some authority, that he has the power to sign. Anybody could walk in there and say, I'm the executive director of the commission, let me sign. This is the document that gives them the coverage to be able to take his word at that, much like, as I said, does that mean there's not forgeries? Sure. But as I said, that would otherwise be an article of incorporation, LLC, documentation. Yes.
So in the private sector, it would be like you're an authorized signer of contracts.
Correct.
And it's on a legal document.
It's on a legal document. And then you provide that, because otherwise, as I indicated, you go in there as the CFO. It's a title that anybody can have. They're looking for that document that came from the board of directors, came from, the managing partner, whatever that gives that authority.
What is your signing authority?
I'm sorry?
What specifically is your signing authority?
Correct. And in this respect,
These matters.
this is related to real estate. So it's purchases, it's transactions in the sale or transfers on real estate, which is going to encompass anything related to that. Whether or not it's an acquisition, a sale, easement, any right, title, or interest that would be authorized. So it's not, and the reason that it is not specific to a single project, routinely these are signed once annually, and then it's used all year long, and the title companies or closing agents, whatever, in that respect, recorder will want a new one or a more recent one that's signed within the last 12 months to be used on those.
So going back to Commissioner Jenny's question, the intent was not limited to NDOT.
I couldn't get the document to open to see. There's been a discussion of whether or not NDOT wants one specifically for their project, because sometimes that will happen too. And I could just see whether it's NDOT, Army Corps, whatever, that for certain things they want it specific for them.
But even if it's not, authorization wise, the board needs a representative in that capacity to be able to execute document or execute the purchase or sale of real estate.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
And that's obviously part of his job duties in that sense. But yes, it's giving that authority. But again, it's not where he can just go willy-nilly out and do something. Obviously, there still has to be official action by this board, but it's the presentation to the public, to the other people that quite frankly are on the hook and accepting his word.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
after the explanations from the attorney and rereading the resolution, I don't have any issue, and I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2026-09, granting authority to executive director to execute documents pertaining to real estate that has been deemed necessary without for the maintenance of the project.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second discussion. I'll start. There's no term on this resolution. Did you mention that there should be a term?
Nope. Often title companies or closing agents will want one signed within the year, but most resolutions don't necessarily, just in general. If you look at anything that we sign, they don't have terms on them. Contracts will.
No, I'm talking about the resolution for this particular individual to have this approval.
Correct. That's what I'm talking about as well. But
Okay.
most resolutions don't. The resolution lasts for as long as it is in effect until you withdraw it.
And change it. And this might be administrative, but is there a particular reason there's no attest signature line item on this?
A test only happens with a head of a board, head of a commission, head of a, something in that respect. It's not related. It's because it's a municipal entity. That's where the attestation comes from.
I'm talking about the signature at the bottom of the resolution. All the other resolutions we have the secretary as attesting the signature of the chairman. I'm just inquiring why there isn't one on this one.
Because you sign it.
I know, but I signed the other ones too.
Correct. For those attestations, because it's official action that's happening on related to a project as part of it, that's where that comes in that respect.
Project. Oh. Okay.
So just for clarification, it's not time constrained, but it is person constrained. So Dan Repay no longer is director, then we would do this again 3 months from now in the event that that was the case.
100% you would. Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Either none, Mrs. Lambert.
Tom Brzezinski,
Yes.
Tom Gozdecki,
Yes.
Dave Catalano,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Jenny Orford. Yes. Robert Ochi,
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. Moving right along, another resolution. It's Resolution Fest. Resolution 2026-10 authorizing the commission to enter in an interlocal agreement with the city of Hammond, the town of Highland, for shared pavement of the 179th Street repaving project. Say that 10 times fast. Mr. Repay.
Put it on the agenda that way to make it difficult.
And
Success. Yeah, thanks. 179th Street is critical actually for Kennedy Avenue because 179th Street feeds all of the businesses into that area. There was a point and it was in the paper that Highland was gonna shut that down because they didn't want it. So short story is Highland and Hammond came together, looked for us to be a partner to pave 179th Street so those businesses could still get access. And so those trucks don't go through the middle of our construction zone trying to fit through what we're trying to do Kennedy Avenue. So that's the short version. There's precedent for doing this. We did something similar on Georgia Street and we've done it on Main Street with partnering with Munster and Cherville, where it was, something that needed to happen and we just happened to make it work better.
building bridges.
Okay.
All right, and bring it to the board. What do y'all think?
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-9, authorizing commission to, or 10, I'm sorry. Authorizing commission to enter an interlocal agreement with the city of Hammond and the town of Highland to share the expense of repaving 179th Street, an amount not to exceed $150,000, subject to legal review.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Cool projects. Mrs. Lambert.
Tom Brzezinski,
Yes.
Tom Gozdecki,
Yes.
Dave Castellanos,
Yes.
Ron Ware,
Yes.
Jenny Orford. Yes. Robert Ochi,
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. All right, moving right along. Next up is a purchase agreement for 8002 Coy Drive in Munster, Indiana. Dan, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just buying houses.
I gave you a resolution.
Yeah, here's.
Somebody's got to throw it out there.
Here's I think the reason why we did it, because we didn't know what the previous, what was gonna be, so if that would have failed, then we would have needed it on there, so we had to put it on there, so. We can do it just for double take, but the whole point of this used to be a house. It is no longer a house, after 08 flood. The property was sold on tax sale, guy couldn't get rid of it. So he approached us, offered us one number, we countered offered at $8,000, he accepted, and so it's adjacent to the levee in Munster. So it's an empty lot that won't be built on.
Why do we need it?
Well, as I've been directed by the chairman in past lives, anything that can be adjacent to or inside the river that we can own outright and not just have an easement on, we should go do.
That's a stretch.
Oh, I don't think so.
That is more, it had to do with public entities than it did with private property.
We don't have to
I
buy it.
digress. So, any questions for Mr. Repay about this one? Then what say you, ladies and gentlemen? Come on, man, we're at the end here.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the purchase agreement for 8002 Coy Drive in Munster, Indiana.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any other discussion?
Just a quick question, Dan, what's the lot size? Is it a traditional?
It's just a traditional lot size, but I don't think they'd be able to conform to build a house on it today because of the setback requirements by the levy that we have.
Accessibility wise, it's
At
like,
the end of a cul-de-sac.
So we can drive through the cul-de-sac and get through there.
Yeah, I mean, we do it right now. Now we can do it legally.
okay, that was all, Mr. Chair. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Mrs. Lambert, there's a motion and a second.
Thomas Linsky,
Yes.
Tom Gusdecki,
Yes.
Dave Castellano. Ron Ware,
Yes.
Jenny Ortberg,
Yes.
Yes.
Levon Whitaker,
Yes.
William Baker.
Yes. All right, next meeting is Wednesday, June 17th. It's construction season, folks, so it's gonna get busy. Check the website as it relates to the location of the meeting, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, everybody. Have a fabulous holiday.